Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to show you the benefit of using chains as opposed to the wet-dry mixing knob in certain situations, in certain scenarios. And this is one of those scenarios. I have a basic 909 core kit here, and I'm just going to draw in a basic techno pattern. Have the kick right there. No, not right there, right there. And then have the hi-hats closed and open. Select those, duplicate, and there we go. And this is the pattern that you make when you want to have a YouTube tutorial, right? And this is a quote-unquote dry signal, and we're going to be using drum bus to kind of enhance it. And this is what drum bus was kind of made for. It was made to bring like the 90s drum samples up to modern levels, I guess. And it does this using drive and I guess a bit of crunch, which I assume is a certain kind of compression, and boom. So yeah, there's an immediate effect as soon as you drop it on, and you can really hear it. And we'll add some boom. That's a bit of low end. And that's all well and good. And a lot of Ableton devices have this Needle Bazito dry wet knob or value. And right now it's set to 100%. It's 100% wet. Let's say we want to, kind of have a bit of dry in there. You notice that there's a drastic discrepancy in volume, and you really can't hear or see visually the levels. Well, you can hear it, but you can't really see it. It's hard to judge. And this isn't really useful for parallel processing, which is splitting the signal up, affecting it, and then with two or more effects, and then summing them together. So we're going to do that. And how you do that is you right-click on the device in question and then go to group. Or you can, if you're cool and you're a hipster, Control G, and I don't know what the Mac is, Mac shortcut. You hit group, and then you go over to this little thing here, this drop down, and yeah, you have a chain. One chain, and this chain is the drum bus. So we'll, right-click, rename, or hit R. Again, we're hipster, so this will be drum bus FX, and this is really useful. What you do is you right-click and create a new chain. And this chain has no effects in it, and if we solo it, it is the dry signal. If we solo this is the wet signal, right? So we can visually see kind of what's going on here. And this is useful for another processing technique, which there's a gajillion videos on, and that is parallel compression. And you'll notice that a lot of compressors, well, all the compressors in Ableton have a dry wet knob, but that's not traditionally how you would do it. You have it to another channel in your mixer. You squash the heck out of one of the channels and then mix in the dry, so you still preserve the transients, but then you have like a heavily compressed signal. It's called New York compression and stuff like that. But anyway, let's hop back to this. So we got drum bus, and then we got no drum bus, and we can mix these using the volume here. We can visually see kind of sort of what's going on. Right, and that's a good example. Another example is, say, reverb. You drop a reverb on, you have wet dry. You'll notice that dry is dry, but as you increase the wet, the dry signal gets quieter. You'll notice the volume kind of dips down. So you really don't have a good amount of control. You do, but then it requires some gain staging after. But we don't like all that noise. We're going to go 100% wet. Drag it in here. Boom, we have another chain. And it's set to 0 dB, which is unity. We'll bring that down. And then we'll mix it in. Right? So now we have something that sounds pretty cool in the 90s, and we are not affecting the overall volume of our drums in question. We're just affecting the volume of the reverb. So it's kind of like an independent wet amount, as opposed to, we're not even affecting the dry. I'll just say that. So you can see that this can be very useful in a lot of situations. And yeah, it's just the nature of a dry wet knob. And it's really cool. And you can kind of visually see what's going on if you have a magnifying glass. But yeah, these are chains in the audio effect rack. And you can have as many of these as you want, and it's all nice and clean. Things like that, you're good. And there's no limit to how many of these chains you can have. So let's go. Yeah, we'll go glue compressor. Right. Maybe a little bit of a quick attack. No, we'll squish it. Right, so we have 5 dBs of gain reduction. We'll give it around 5 dB of makeup. And there's a wet dry here, which is cool, but let's get some more control. We'll group this little list icon here. Right click, create chain. We've got the dry or the wet signal and then the dry signal. We'll just mix in. No, we'll start with the we'll leave the dry and we'll just mix in the wet. We'll just give it a whole lot of makeup. Soft clip. We're going crazy. Right, we've effectively made it louder. So from here we can, add a Nito utility, bring the volume down, things like that, whatever you want to do. But this is, in my opinion, why using chains as opposed to just the wet dry is a bit more useful, at least for me, for my workflow. These things are great, and you just kind of double click and they go away. The only downside is they're not as immediate on the mixer section here. There's a way to have it so like each one is routed to you can have the same deal, but they are represented in channels. But yeah, that's a topic for another video. So I hope you guys learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.